I look at the one course. We're recording. Okay, super, super. Well, good, Jeff. I mean, I'm excited. Jeff, I don't know how well you can see this. Zoom in on it. So what I was going to do, a talk on meditation, right? And so I worked last night on my PowerPoint. I worked on my PowerPoint. And then this morning, before I do my meditation, I just got all these books around me, and I picked up a book, and I picked up this book, which is a book I read a long time ago, The Laws of Success. And in the introduction of The Law of Success, he talks about this book, Acres of Diamonds. And so while I was meditating this morning, I said, you know, let me see where this book is. And I went to this bucket, and I perceived the book to be different, because this book is republished and republished so many different times. And any book that's over 50 years, anybody can republish. But the guy that republished this book, his executive books, is Charles Tremendous Jones. And it's a guy I had the pleasure of speaking with, went to Malaysia. But anyway, the reason why this book is so profound, because it talks about a story, and I don't know if you ever heard a story called Acres of Diamonds. And it's one of the most profound stories I ever heard, and it really made me think. It had to do with an African farmer. And this African farmer, he heard about diamonds being everywhere in Africa, right? So he had a farm, he had everything on the farm, you know, the fruits, the vegetables, everything. But he wanted more, he wanted diamonds, and so he decides to sell the farm, and he sells the farm. And in search of looking for diamonds, but he had no idea what diamonds looked like. And so he searched the whole continent of Africa, and the story has out of despondency, he spent all his money and committed suicide, didn't find the diamonds. Well, meanwhile, back at the ranch, the guy that bought the ranch, he didn't know anything about diamonds either, but as he's walking down his property, he finds these big pieces of coals with these sparkling things on it, right? So he just displays it on his mantle. And so one day his friend comes by and says, you know, what are those things that you have there? And he goes, I don't know. He says, but whatever they are, he goes, I got plenty of them on here. And he goes, well, let me take it to a geologist. And geologist took it, and he said, you know, these are diamonds in the rough. And these are diamonds. And so literally in the history of diamonds, this was the largest above ground diamond farm in the world, and the Queen's crown jewelry came from this farm, the biggest diamonds. And it's called Acres of Diamonds. So that's one story, but what's really interesting about the story is that Norman Conwell, or Russell Conwell, in reading the story this morning was really fascinating. So you have a story in a story. He lived in the was born in 1845. In about 1856, his father was an abolitionist, and he was helping the slaves with the Underground Railroad. Okay? So Norman Conwell, when he was little, he saw his dad. He had a lot of anxiety because his dad would be doing things against the law, transporting slaves into Canada. But he's seen his father do that. So later on in life, he met a lot of the famous people, Abraham Lincoln, Brian Reynolds, a host of people. But anyway, he himself became a philanthropist. He was a lawyer, a preacher in the church. He was an atheist for a long time. Didn't believe, you know, in God. He worked in the Civil War. He was a recruiter in the Civil War. And so later on, when he started believing in Christianity and Christ, this young kid came to him and said, you know, Father, you know, I really want to go to school. And he goes, but, you know, I don't have any money to go to school. And so he says, well, you know what, why don't you come by my house and I'll teach you. And so he says, bring anybody who you want with you. So the kid brought like 6 of his friends, and next time brought 40 of his friends. And then you had other people started helping teach these kids. And a lot of people don't know. I've met several people that I talk about Temple University, and they didn't know about Russell Conwell, but he founded Temple University based on that story. But what was really profound about that, the way he started Temple University, he went around the country talking about acres of diamonds. And every time he talked for free, and the donations that he got, he built Temple University. Oh, it's a phenomenal story. But the whole message with this book was even more profound, is that the message is that is within us, Jeff, is that we go out looking for things out in life. You know, we look for happiness outside, and we don't realize that we have it right here. We have acres of diamonds here, and that's what this message is in the book. And so to me, that's really profound, and that was the message that I really wanted to portray this morning, and as meditation. Is, you know, we go to universities and we get degrees and then we don't get jobs, or sometimes we get jobs and we don't find a lot of happiness. And the thing that I see that a lot of people don't have, they don't realize in life, is that whatever they need is right between their ears. And so meditation leads me into meditation, okay? So meditation to me is something that I've learned when I was about 26 years old. And it's something that I practice every day. And sometimes I did, and off and on. And it's nothing that's religious, but it's basically to reduce stress in my life, to get to know myself better, and to use what I call as the sixth sense. That's that intuitive nature. Is like picking this book out of a stack of books and think it's a different color. Okay? And the other book that I have is a different color. The original, you know, Acres of Diamonds. You're going to find this book, like Think and Grow Rich, in many different forms and many different covers. But the message is still the same, is that, like the farmer in Africa, we go looking for diamonds. When we have them right, acres of diamonds in our own possession right here, our mind. So what meditation is, there's a lot of misconception in meditation. A lot of people say, you know, I try to be still, and I try to be calm, and I can't still and calm my mind. Well, funny thing is, the mind is like your computer. As long as the power is on, as long as you're alive, you know, that mind is going to keep running. And so you can't still the mind. The mind has a mind of its own. But what you can do is you can calm the mind, and that's what meditation is. Meditation to me is just sitting quietly and letting the mind process what it needs to do. It's like on your computer, what's that word called when you defragment? And that's what I think meditation is we need to defragment ourselves. Every day we got stuff coming into our minds like our computer. And if you don't clean up your hard drive sooner or later, it's going to be an overload and you can't receive any more messages. Well, the mind is the same way. So what I learned many, many years ago, that through meditation, when I was around, they call it transcendental meditation, and I paid them $175, and you go into a little room. It was non-religious, but it's still kind of like it was in a church environment. And you in this room and this little table with an apple and a candle and a little incense was giving a non-syllable word. And you actually close your eyes, and you close your eyes for 20 minutes. And it was really weird, because it was the first time in my life that I ever sit by myself. I've prayed before and sat in church, but just sitting there 20 minutes quietly. But it's kind of interesting. Once you start doing that, the mind starts, you know, being more quiet. And then the key was to do it twice a day. 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. And once you do that, it's kind of interesting. It's like the alarm clock goes in your mind. You kind of close your eyes, and you kind of drift off somewhere, and then 20 minutes later, boom, you just pop up and you keep going. And basically what it does, it rejuvenates the battery. And it's kind of funny, we got these new cars right now that they're electric cars. And you can go to the mall and you plug up a car to recharge yourself. Well, meditation is the same way. It's sitting quietly, to rejuvenate yourself. So twice a day. What they say the benefits of meditation is it relieves stress. You need less sleep. I go about 6 hours of sleep. Go to bed about 11 o'clock and wake up about 5 o'clock in the morning. Less sleep, less stress, better memory. And I have a terrible memory, so a better memory helps with memory. It's been a habit. It's been a habit. And really interesting, if I look back in my life when I was, probably 8 or 9 years old, I had an uncle that had a girlfriend that was from India. And so she was staying at our house for a day or so, and I wanted to get some toys out of my room, and I went to the room, and she was in a dark room with a candle burning and some incense, and I asked her what she was doing. She said she was meditating. So really the important thing, the message is for people to learn to know themselves, get to know yourself through meditation. Gives your body. So I'm going to give you an example of how to meditate real quickly. So in order to meditate, I think, is to use all your senses. And the first sense is breathing. And I always ask the question, I have fun with this when I ask people, do you know your senses? And people, most people don't know their 5 senses, and they don't even know what the 6th sense is. And I'm going to hold the 6th sense for right now and kind of keep that in suspense item so people would want to watch and find out what the 6th sense is. But anyway, you do your 5 senses, and to get into the meditation is to breathe in. Breathe in, and my recommendation is to breathe in and out 10 times, like this. And I can feel myself with each breath that I become calmer and more relaxed. And that's the first thing with meditation is your sense. And then the second thing you do with meditation is to do a senses check and, listen. What do you hear? Can you hear the silence? Do you hear birds? Do you hear people? Sometimes you meditate in a metropolitan area. Do you hear cars go by? Trains going by, and you hear those things, but they're kind of in a distance because you're really into an internal. You're into your internal mind. And the key, I think, is for people to know is let whatever the thoughts come, let those thoughts come, let them flow. People say, I want to control my thoughts and I can't control them. But my point of meditation is all kinds of different meditation. My thing is meditation is let the unconscious mind do what it's supposed to do. And just unwind, like the computer. When it's in the process of defragmenting it, or cleaning up the disk, you just let it run. 20 minutes is over, and then it's finished. So, but you go through all your senses, your breathing, your taste, your seeing. And in meditation, to get you in deeper meditation, you close your eyes, and then you can do a senses check, and you open your eyes, and you close it again, and as you do that, you tell yourself every time you open your eyes and close your eyes, you go deeper in trance. And then I guess, like I said, you just sit there for 20 minutes and let the mind do whatever it does. 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. And so this is really the beginning of meditation. I do some more profound stuff. You can do some yoga meditation. There's meditation in motion. The incense? The incense isn't really important, but what it does, it heightens a sense of your other sense of smelling. So the more that you engage all your senses, the more you go in deeper trance.
What was the apple for? To eat?
No, I think the Buddhist, I guess nature represents nature. I think Buddhists meditate with fruit. Fruit is very symbolic in the biblical terms. Meditation, I think, is a fruit. It's a God. We have a mind and we don't realize, that we just meditate. Just being by ourselves quietly. Being by ourselves quietly. Most people have never done that. But I want to tell you a little story, and it's an interesting story. I've told a lot of people how to meditate, and you know, a lot of people get a lot of benefits from it. You know, and what's also interesting is meditation. There's really a fine point about meditation. It really has to do with a state of mind. You know, what state of your mind is, and so, you know, I guess I can talk forever. So let me tell you about the states of minds. Okay. So right now we're in a waking stage. You know, you're watching me on video. You're watching my hands move. You're watching the book. You know, your senses are aware of what's going on. And we call that the beta state. The conscious state is the beta state. And so we're all aware of that. And during the day we solve a lot of problems in the beta state. You know, we're driving, we're watching the other driver, we're watching it travel, the signal lights. People ask you questions on your job. You're in a conscious state. Well, when you finish being in the conscious state, when you're on your way home and you've got that hour drive back to Marina, and you think about this taping session, and you think about taking the camera back to CMAP, you kind of go into another state called the alpha state. The alpha state to me is your body's in one place and your mind is another place. You know, you're driving on the freeway and you do it unconsciously. For some reason, you know, you're cruise control, you head home. And it's really neat because I'm going to tell you something, Jeff, and I'm going to predict the future, and I'm always ahead of my time. But let me tell you what's going to happen. We're going to have so many more people go into the alpha state, the second state, the daydream state. And let me tell you why that is. The reason why you have more people doing it because, see, Google's trying to come out with a car that remotely drives itself, right? And I just heard Cadillac is coming out with one, right? So what's going to happen now, you can drive, and your car is going to be on automatic pilot, and you can go into trance. You could be driving like you're on a train, like an airplane, but it's going to happen while people are driving. And now you're going to become aware of that.
And then before you know it, you'll be there.
And you'll be there.
That's right.
And that's what happens too in trance. Trance is you go away and then you don't realize what happens. A lot of times you pass your exit. You know, and that's the alpha state.
Yeah.
So you got beta is consciously aware, and then you got theta where your body's in one place and your mind's in another place. I want to tell you something, Jeff, it's really interesting. A lot of people don't know. That is the secret of being able to get surgery done under hypnosis without having any pain. All you have to do is think of being somewhere else while the dentist is working, and you won't have any pain. It's that simple. And I use the word pretend. All you have to pretend that you're somewhere else, and you won't have any pain. And through meditation, you learn that. You know, it's fascinating what the mind can do. So the third stage, Jeff, is called the theta stage, and that's really the state of meditation I talked about, is where you want to go. And it's also what the hypnotist does, or in self-hypnosis, is the third state, and that's the theta state. And the theta state is right before you go to sleep. It's deeper than your alpha state. So I don't think you could really be driving. I think you can. I think if you're heavy under the influence of alcohol and you drive, I mean, that's kind of like being in theta, but it's not natural theta. You know, you forgot what you did. Right. But the purposeful theta is to recognize that state of mind. And I think one of the big things that if people walk away from this message here is to be able to recognize the different states of minds that you have, your conscious states, which we're all aware of. And now that I mentioned that when your body's driving and your mind's somewhere else, that's the alpha state. But the state that we really want to talk about is the theta state. You know, I understand that most of your learning goes in that state, most of the clearing state. And just for the simplicity, the last state is the delta state, the sleep state, which most of us do all the time. But sometimes people will have a problem going to that sleep state, and I'll explain why that is also. Okay? But the theta state is when you just close your eyes and you relax. You know, you got to tell yourself to relax, and you can count down. And the body check that I tell you is, we call it the elevator technique, where you start with the head and you tell your head to relax, and then you tell your face to relax, and your arms, your shoulders, and you tell your whole body to relax. Then you go into that theta state. And in that meditative theta state is you just let the mind do what it wants to do. Is let your horses run free. And when I tell people in that state, sometimes you have good thoughts. Sometimes you have bad thoughts. You know, you run back an old movie, you have something like a car accident that you were into, or an accident, or something negative. It could be something positive. But basically what it is, as you're filming me, imagine that your life movie is playing back. And that's what it does through meditation. Your life movie is playing back. So you're going to have some good thoughts, and you're going to have some happy thoughts, and you're going to have some negative thoughts. But the whole thing is let that tape rewind. And I guess you know why you're taping. The profound thought that just came to me is meditation is letting your film run backwards and let it go back to the beginning. And while you do that, it processes, and what's unique, it eliminates and gets rid of the bad stuff. So you see it in a movie, the sound goes away, the feeling goes away, and every time you play that back, it becomes more distant, and it has a less effect on your body. You become more calming, more easing and soothing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you know, it's... Yeah, I think, you know, with meditation, and somebody said something, I read a book just recently by Napoleon Hill, and it's called Outwitting the Devil, and it talks about, the most profound thing in the whole book to me was, you know, wisdom, you know, and he talks about wisdom can only be received through going through the experiences. And I think I disagree, because, you know, reading this book here, Acres of Diamonds, you know, reading this man's story, I think I got a lot of wisdom out of this book. And so in sharing the wisdom is meditation, meditation, meditation. I think the more you meditate, you get rid of medication. And profound words here is, when people are ill, they have usually have disease. And when you meditate, you're at ease, and you eliminate disease. So meditation does that. When I learned meditation, Jeff, they said that if in a city, if more people meditated, just automatically the crime rate went down. You know, so I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask the audience a question. Who in your mind that you know was one of the greatest meditators in this day of life?
Besides you?
Besides me? No, this is a really profound guy. I think Mahatma Gandhi.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
Gandhi.
think the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, the Dalai Lama, yeah. Well, to me, Gandhi was, because, you know, through his mind, his thoughts of peace, you know, influenced millions of people to do that. Peaceful thoughts, calm thoughts, and through nonviolent thoughts. So, you know, the mind's a very powerful thing. We can do amazing things. Through meditation, again, reducing stress is very important. But in meditation, I want to do a little switch on the meditation. So meditation is a state of mind, right, Jeff? Mm-hmm. So, but now in that state, you can do a lot of things too. You can actually give yourself suggestions. It is like programming or recording. And in self-motivation tapes, we call that visualization. Mm-hmm. For some of us that don't visualize, we use the word, we imagine. So imagine yourself achieving success. Mm-hmm. And when you're in that meditative state, see, once I said let that tape run out, but now you can switch up and you can create your own tape. Mm-hmm. You know, you can see yourself doing something, being successful, being able to speak in front of an audience when you normally couldn't see that. You know, it doesn't hurt to do that when you do it in your imagination. And then you learn, too, when you start doing that, you know, it's interesting, Jeff, the mind cannot distinguish between reality and imagination. And the more you understand that, the more you can trick your mind to think positive. And I'm glad I hit these key points is, we talk about meditation. One of the key things I want to do is, in this message, or we can cut and edit it, is a thing on positiveness. Meditation puts you in more of a positiveness. I myself, most people don't realize in life that the things that happen to them are a result of their own doing. And let me give you this situation. You ever been in a situation, and I'm sure it happens to everybody, and I haven't been around dogs in a long time, but, growing up in Europe and stuff like that, you ever stepped in some doo-doo and you think somebody else stepped in some doo-doo and stuff like that, and you're pointing fingers and the doo-doo's on your stuff? It's me, yeah. And so that's what happened is called stinking thinking. Is we don't realize that we have a lot of negative thoughts. And so once we become aware of our thought pattern, are they positive or negative? I think the meditation clearly clarifies that for you. Is most of the times we don't realize what we do. We don't realize if we're working in the consciousness or the subconsciousness. Are we in the alpha? Are we in the delta and the theta? But now that you're aware of it, now that I explain it to you, if you become conscious aware of it, you can put yourself in those situations. Like, if I go on a plane trip, I put myself to sleep. I put myself in delta. I guess that's where they got the word Delta Airlines from. Who knows? That's good, huh? Delta Airlines.
Yeah.
You go to sleep on that.
Or he's in a fraternity.
Delta fraternity, yeah. Those are Greek letters. I never understood, the alpha, the omega, the beginning and the end. But knowing the states of mind is really helpful. And so if people go away learning about the states of mind at an early age, I think these things need to be taught at an early age. I just finished watching a documentary on Marvin Gaye before you came down here, right? And he was a great singer, great emotions, but at the same time, he had a lot of ups and downs in his life. And no telling, had he had the opportunity to meditate. He was genius in one sense, but yet very normal in another sense. And I really think that meditation helps with that. There's so many things. And you're going to be, as time goes on, Jeff, we talk about DISC, and I love DISC. And DISC is very important because you've got to know yourself. But meditation, we're going to talk a lot about meditation. Was that a little butterfly that came by? Yeah.
I don't know how much it'll
Well, that's okay. It's butterflies. You know what that reminds me of? There was a guy named, he's a pilot, and he went Lindbergh, transcontinental.
Yeah.
And do you remember what was in the cockpit?
I don't.
There was a fly in the cockpit.
Oh.
And the fly kept him awake, entertained to the whole...
Really?
Yeah.
I never heard that.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's yeah, so Lindbergh...
What was the note you were talking about sleep earlier? You said there's a reason why a lot of people don't sleep.
Yeah, good. I appreciate you bringing me back on topic here. Yeah, the reason why... I'm not going to swat. I can kill it.
Okay.
Yeah, so edit that. Sleep. The reason why people don't sleep, Jeff, is that it's like your voicemail on your phone. It's like your text messaging. It's like your emails. When I try to send you a text message, if your text message is full, you can't receive the message. Now, I never really understood why we went to sleep until I started thinking and meditating on sleep, right? We need sleep for one reason, and that's to, number one, rest, but to filter all the things that happen during the day. We're just in an information overload. We got all these thoughts happen, we just need to relax and sleep. But what happens is, the reason why we can't sleep is because we have so many thoughts that can't filter through that filter. So we try drinking, and that'll put you to sleep. For some of us, we try smoking. We tried a lot of different things, okay? Meditation will help you filter that. So in America, you know, sleep deprivation, insomnia is really, really, you know, out of control. And that's again because people haven't learned how to use their mind. Let's give an example, an experience that you have, any negative experience. I don't even have to think of one. Just you pick any negative experience, and
Getting a flat tire.
yeah, flat tire. Okay, and you're stuck on the freeway, and it's scary, and you know, rainstorm, and well, when you get home, when you want to go to sleep, you just keep thinking about that. You keep thinking about that flat tire. You know, and you were late, you didn't pick up your kids, you know, you didn't get your job done, you know, the bills are late, you know, here's a good one. Why did it happen to me? Why did it happen at the end of the month when I have too much month at the end of the money? You know, why? And so we go in a tailspin and we can't sleep. But if we sat down and process and close our eyes and just let those thoughts work its way out, what's that word called when the soldiers go to war, post-war?
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD. Yes. You know, they say that, you know, through meditation, you know, Parkinson's disease, a lot of those things, and not even just with meditation. The next step to meditation again is programming yourself. So let's give you a scenario of programming yourself through self-hypnosis, right? So say that you're in a state of trance, the theta stage, and you're in deep trance and stuff like this. You can tell yourself to be happy every time you turn your computer on. Okay? So in this state of mind, you tell yourself every time you turn on your computer, you'll be happy. And you just give yourself that instruction. And then once you give that instruction in that theta state, you forget about it. Well, you know, the next time you turn on your computer, you become happy for some reason and you don't know why. Because you gave yourself that instructions. See, we do that. We do that automatically. Let's give you an example of what we do all the time and why people get obese. You know, they like pizza. Pizza tastes good. And they go, pizza tastes good. Makes me happy. Right. And the next time they're feeling down, let me get some pizza. We call it comfort foods.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So, but we don't realize the negative effects on that. So through meditation, you know, we can see it, the body, I don't feel right. You know, I'm getting bloated. You know, my belt's too tight. You know, you become aware of the other senses. You know, and I guess the whole thing too with the meditation is the senses. Yeah. Let's go through the senses really quickly. You know, we got seeing, we got smelling, we got taste, we got feel, we got hearing, and the sixth one, again, I'm going to keep it a secret. We'll talk about that later. You know what it is? Yeah, the sixth sense. You know, figure out what your sixth sense is. But using all your senses and understanding meditation and hypnosis in that same state, it has to do with the senses. Most of us are not aware of our sense of seeing, which is really important. And I wrote this little book up called Look Up. And the reason why I did that is because people are not aware of their eyes. Where are your eyes? You know, are your eyes in a positive mode or in a negative mode? You know, I just realized a long time ago that if you look up, things just happen magically when you look up. You know, your eyes are up. But what's really interesting, Jeff, is when you meditate your eyes and then have your eyes go up, you have a way different effect than if your eyes go down. And one of the things with the eyes is really interesting, and with meditation too, is, ever try this, is that, you know, you can't cry if your eyes are up, in an up position. And it reminds me, because I told you I just recently cut a skunk, right? And my neighbor next door was telling me that this rich lady paid this guy to catch skunk because it's really good eating. And he says, you know how you keep a skunk from spraying? You hold it by the tail, it cuts off the spraying duct. Well, the same thing with tear ducts. If you look up, you can't cry.
I never knew that.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is this, if you look up, you can't be depressed. So just think, if people read these messages and say, you know, try to be depressed, try to cry looking up. You can't. You know, I challenge you to look up and try to be depressed. It's an oxymoron. You can't do that. Let me tell you, Jeff, you know why I know so much about this stuff? Because as a little boy, I used to get in trouble all the time. And I used to cry all the time, right? And so what they do, they have me stand in the corner. And it's really weird when you stand in the corner. I've been in many corners, you know, and not corners of the world, but corners in the room. So, but when you look down, it's like you're crying. If you look up, it's like you can't see them. If you look up, you feel like, you know what? Screw them. You know, it's like you get a different attitude.
So that's why the kids in the corners are always looking up, because you always see them
Yeah.
like this, you know, when they're in the corner.
Yeah. But you know what? We do that instinctively, and we don't know why we do that. But now that you're aware of it, you know, yeah, the eye movement. You know, we can talk all day long, and maybe on the next series. I love to do a whole series about the eyes. There's so many powerful with the eyes, but the eyes, going back to meditation, is one of the strange things that I did one time, Jeff, is learn that you can meditate with your eyes open. And I went to a Buddhist monastery in the Monterey Mountains called Tassajara. And the guy says, you know, meditate with your eyes open. It's like, wow, that's a trip. And so, yeah, meditation, you can do meditation. Meditation is running. When you meditate and you run, you know, it's, you know, your body's here, but your mind is somewhere else. Remember I told you about that? So it's a level that you go into. You could be in the alpha state, or you go into the theta state. You know, I want to see if I can remember the numbers in preparing this. So the numbers, they say that if you're in the beta state, your mind cycles at 13 cycles per second, okay? Or more, the more you're excitable. I probably run like probably at 26 or 36, you know, and that's why I don't drink coffee, anything to slow me down, not speed me up, okay? But then they say if you're in the alpha state, it's somewhere between, I think it's 8 and 13 in the alpha state. But then if you get in the theta state, it's more between 3 and 7. And when you're asleep, it's 4 and minus. So that's cycles per second. So if you understand that from a levels, is your mind slows down. But it's just like, sometimes like when your computer, you know, if it's running slower, it can take on more information than if it's speeding. It just can't process all that.
Right.
So, yeah, so interesting thing about meditation. What else can I tell you about meditation? Meditation is a lifelong thing that you do every day. It's a practice. It's a practice of getting to know yourself, getting to know your body. I'm fascinated with people that do yoga, because that's meditation and physical stance. I do a meditation now that's it's a little more advanced, and I do 11-minute headstands in meditation. And I kind of go, I don't even know where I go, but the mind goes away. And the goal is to do 20-minute headstand meditations. You know, a person can meditate anywhere. You know, you can do it at the park. You know, you can do it at the lunchroom. You can do it in the bathroom. Don't recommend that, but you know, you can do it anywhere. 20 minutes. So the message is 20 minutes. And what's most interesting is if you hear Oprah, she talks about this. But meditation, one of the things I'm telling you, Jeff, it's not something new. It's been around since the beginning of the times. You know, they say Jesus went to the desert and meditated for 40 days and nights. You know, meditation's been around a long time. I'm surprised that we don't talk about it more. I think schools that would teach meditation would have less violence, more civility, more just better schools, less violence, better learning. So I think I can't think of anything else right now as meditating other than practice. Oh, one more thing with meditation is, meditation is like a muscle. That the more you meditate, the stronger the muscle gets, the stronger the fibers get. And somebody said too that the mind really just has reconnectors. And so when you meditate, I guess brain cells just reconnect and create stronger bonds in your mind, stronger thoughts, stronger intuition, and it's self-healing. So I just want to leave with that. I think this was our first session, Jeff. I want to thank you for, number one, for making the suggestion to getting it and doing this. Yeah, and for me, it's I've been wanting to do this just really for a long time. And like I said, the other Jeff started this, and then things didn't happen. But I also really believe in things happen for a reason. I just want to end with one story, and it's always a good way to end with a story. So out in the back here, when we moved here about 20 years ago, my wife, she's into gardening, and she planted this avocado seed. And it's been 21 years later, and 2 years ago, around this time, we had a bumper crop of avocados. Like right now, there's none out there. But sometimes there's 2 or 3. Over the years, we had 2 or 3, but we never had a bumper crop, right? And so we had this bumper crop, and I would always ask my wife, it's like, when are these avocados going to be ripe? Because it took forever to get ripe. Right. And I'm just impatient, because I love avocados. And I guess avocados are like life, sometimes you have to wait. But the neatest thing with that, Jeff, is that I kept waiting and kept waiting, and I guess one fell off the tree. And needless to say, 2 years ago, Christmas Day, the avocado was ripe and I ate it. And so the message with that is that, we as human beings, is that we're not ripe. And sometimes we need to hang on a tree a little longer, get some more sunshine, breathe, and just meditate until we get ready to be rich like an avocado. So I'd like to end with the avocado, if we could, for the day. Tell you, avocados, acres of diamonds. Again, there's acres and diamonds here. And I said to start mining your mind, start meditating twice a day, and email me, write me, and let me know how meditations work for you. And spread the message, meditation. Peace.